what is this Konvy business really about to us? Is it gonna be an online business only, or is it gonna be a multi-channels, online to offline? In the future, it could be even virtual reality, right? I make the bold decision that Konvy should not be just with online markets as an e-commerce company. We believe that Konvy should always innovate. Well, we need to be humble, right? The channels that we're building is not gonna be the sole channels for everything. I don't believe that there's one channels for everything kind of theory. There will be channels that there's more specializing on doing certain things, and there's another specialty where another channel is better. Konvy invests so much into the back end and the infrastructure of this business because we learned the norm that this problem will not be able to solve anytime soon. And with the demographic we have in Thailand, with a population of close to 70 million people, business now, let's say beauty brands in Thailand markets, most of their market size is around $1 million USD per year, which if you break down to 12 months on a monthly basis, is about 300,000 USD. On their market size for them, it's really hard to build a very complete e-commerce team, complete fulfillments, and complete logistic team. Because of that, we have 1,200 brands that we're serving. I would say more than 70% of the brand face these problems. And because of that, we are building, investing into warehousing, investing in our systems, investing our real-time smart forecasting systems, supply chain systems to solve the problems. We really find that Philippines is a good country to go to, and it could be a second curve, right? Second S curve for us for the business. And it could potentially be bigger than Thailand, I would say. Right, and that's why we are putting a huge commitment to make this market work in 2024. We're building the whole team there, and we've been building the team for the last few months. And in that time, it was in a period where I feel Konvy should make a big bet on investing onto our branding, because Konvy has been in Thailand for almost 12 years now up to date, but by that time was almost close to 10 years. And a lot of people still see Konvy as the website, the online business, where a lot of people are still scared to buy stuff online. So there's a decision I need to make, was to invest the money we have on one big campaign. Because we make that move, our commercials are on TVCs, our ads are everywhere in Thailand. You can see Konvy everywhere. Right? And that just conquers the people's mind that Konvy is a small business, and now they have jumped to become one of the biggest beauty business in Thailand.
Hi folks, so welcome back to On Call with Insignia, where you go on call with leaders innovating the future of Southeast Asia and emerging markets across the globe. I'm your host, Paolo Aquino, and we're joined again today by a returning guest. He was on our show back in 2022, so it's been quite a while since we had him, but I think it was an exciting discussion that we had back then, especially since for Insignia, this was our first time partnering with a Thai company. It was also our first time partnering with a company focused on beauty, cosmetics, retail in particular. So there was a lot to cover. And I think since we last talked, the company has really grown leaps and bounds, right? So I think there's even a lot more to discuss this time around. So happy to have back on the show the CEO and co-founder of Konvy, Thailand's leading beauty e-commerce platform, none other than Qing Gui Huang, or Hui as we like to call him. Hui, how are you? How have you been?
Good. It's been a great year for us, 2023.
So let's start off right there, right? A great year, 2023. So maybe for our first-time listeners who aren't familiar with Konvy yet, maybe you can give a brief introduction and then jump right into what 2023 has been like for Konvy.
To give an introduction and background of our business, we started as an e-commerce platform focusing on beauty retailings. So a little bit different from marketplaces like Lazada and Shopee. As a retail, we basically collaborate with the brands, and we do take the stocks to ensure the quality of the products. 10 years ago, when we started this business, we found that beauty industry was somewhat very safe sensitive, and there's a lot of fake products in the markets. And that's why we would like to start it as a retail models instead of on marketplaces. So by today, we're working with more than 1,000 brands with an SKU of more than 25,000, 30,000 SKUs, mainly selling on our app, but also in the same times, we are also in Lazada, Shopee, and TikTok. And last year, we also opened our first offline store. So this was a very exciting experience for us as well. And we're always number one online in Thailand. And exciting news is that we are also expand regionally this year. So we will be sharing a lot more to some upcoming countries as well. Hopefully we can see some of them, the audiences from other countries as well.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of things there, which we'll get into. I think first is congratulations on the offline launch. There's also TikTok, which I think has been making a lot of moves recently in Southeast Asia, and we'll also talk about that. And then obviously your regional expansion, right? But first, going back to the offline part, maybe you can share with us what the thought process was for opening up offline and what maybe some of the learnings that you've had from expanding into that channel, especially coming from e-commerce, right?
My background is programming. And throughout my career, I'm always working in management and marketing role. Offline was never my experience in the past. So it was very hard for me to decide a strategic move going to offline. If we would have decided to do it, I'd probably do it 5 years ago. Right? But it's not my strength to going offline. But why do we decided to go to offline? The first reason is post-COVID last year, 2023. It was our first complete year where people start to care less about COVID and people are not wearing masks anymore. And we really rethink a little bit about what is this Konvy business really about to us. Is it gonna be an online a business only, or is it gonna be a multi-channels online to offline? In the future, it could be even virtual reality, right? I make the bold decision that Konvy should not be just with online markets. Yes, offline is somewhat is challenging for us. We don't have experience, but we gotta make the move to try it. Let's try it first and see how does it go. That was the mentality behind the decisions, and it turned out to be quite better than my expectation.
Any learning so far that you can share with our audience when it comes to, especially with your background, right? This being your first foray into offline, what have you learned so far? Maybe specifically for the Thai market.
Another reason that I forgot to mention is Thai offline retailing was very competitive comparing to neighboring countries. For people that have used to travel to Thailand, you probably see some of the best mall that you ever visited in around the world, right? The offline shops are really nice. The surveys are really good. So the question to me, how are we going to differentiate ourselves to others, right? Locations, most of the stores are in the malls. It's not like we're going to find a better location than other people, right? So the question goes to, are we going to do product assortment difference? Are we going to do service difference? Or are we going to do a completely different models? And my answer was to try to do something different from what traditional business was doing. Just like Watsons and Boots, they have been in the market for beauty retailing for many years. And I was thinking, I don't want to do the same thing as what they did. If they're already doing so well in what they're doing as a second mover, there's no point for us just to try to copy the model that they're doing.
Okay.
So we discussed internally and came up with new concepts. Instead of bringing products that similar assortments with Watsons, we use our data from our online platform and we sort it out internally with the data that we have, with the reviews that the customers are voicing, with things that people are searching for. We create with assortment and alignment of the products on the shelf very differently from traditional business. And all the products, we open it for people to try, which is also very new concepts. No business in the market was open all the products and let people try. But for us, the problem that we're trying to solve is that a lot of people want to buy new products in our platform, but they never tried it before and they're scared to buy it.
Right.
So we try to use our offline strategy to solve these problems. All right. So good products that people are searching for recently in these months, let's get that product on our shelf and open it and let people try it. That was the mentality behind.
Right.
It was doing very well and people love our concept.
So you have those food samples in the supermarket, and Konvy you can do sampling
Correct.
for these beauty and healthcare like products as well. It's interesting that you got the data and the insights from e-commerce and plug that into the product mix for offline. Is there that much of a difference in terms of what people are looking for offline in terms of SKUs or brands versus online, or not as much?
There's definitely a big difference in some way that I can explain. For online, we have a data set which complete overall sales data. We also can break down the sales to zip codes, to demographics. But when we enter offline, how we did it in the very beginning was to pull our overall data and let's just list the product and see how it goes. And what we see is that even in that zip codes, the behavior of the customers differs by the location of the shop. So the first shop that we opened was in Simon Center. Simon Center is where there's a lot of tourists, young people like to shop around there. And the mall that we opened is not Siam Paragon, right? It's the mall that next to Siam Paragon, which is the sister mall for Siam PY. So Siam Paragon was more of a premium mall, and Simon Center was they position it as a trendy mall, right? There's a lot of fashion brands, new brands happening in the markets. And when we position ourselves there, we find that the customer that enter our shops, almost 40% of them are tourists, which in the past us was never really distinguishing between a local customer and a tourist customers.
Interesting.
And so the customer, they are looking for products that are completely different from the ones we have products that are very popular with the local Thai customers, but we never really trying to build the tourist customers, right? So we had to sort out with the merchandising team to expand our assortments, adjust our assortments to fit their markets. And we opened our second shop in the Mall Bangabi, where it's more of a family mall. Usually people, not young people, but a whole family travel to that mall, the parents, the kids. The assortments where customer buy product is also very different. So that comes with handy that we have a very strong technology to support. In the future, we're thinking that each shop should have different products. And specifically not just on zip code, but on the behavior of the shopping mall.
I think the tourist trend was pretty interesting. I wonder if that has any relation to how you view regional expansion now as well, like looking at what tourists are interested in and what they bring home.
Konvy is always very strong with the office lady kind of positioning. I would say that almost everyone working now in Thailand, they know Konvy, they buy Konvy, but there are areas that we have never entered. So definitely tourist is one part that we never enter. Thailand has one of the largest tourist population around the world. And I think there's a big proportion of market that we would like to get. And as we're expanding to Philippines now, right? And yes, there's some interesting information is that we do have a huge tourist coming from Philippines that they were asking us, right? Because I told the teams in the mall to gather informations, to gather questions that customers ask. And one of the questions that they gather is that a lot of Filipinos ask that they don't have similar shops in Philippines comparing to Thailand. And all they have is Watsons, drugstores, and they would like us to open the shop there. So I think that is somewhat also increase our confidence of expanding our business to neighboring countries.
Pretty interesting story there. I didn't know it would all tie in together, right? But before I get into the regional expansion, I also wanted to cover TikTok Shop, right? I think probably 2 years ago, it was still in the experimental phase, but now you pretty much developed that channel as well. How does it compare when you help brands expand into TikTok Shop as well? And how does that channel stack up compared to other Konvy's own platform, offline and other channels that you guys use?
4 years ago, I think last time we talked on our podcast, I mentioned that we just entering TikTok.
Yeah, still pretty new.
It was a very new channel for us. 4 years ago, we decided Konvy is not gonna be a single channel strategy, right? So we entered Lazada and we entered Shopee. And last year, we entered TikTok seriously. Right? I think the first move we entered TikTok was in 2022, late 2022, where TikTok Shop just opened their first shopping cart functions in Thailand.
Right.
And I would say that we were probably one of the very, very first beauty players to jump into these markets. I think this goes back to our gene, right? As an e-commerce company, we believe that Konvy should always innovate. Well, we need to be humble, right? The channels that we're building is not going to be the sole channels for everything. I don't believe that there's one channels for everything kind of theory. There will be channels that there's more specializing on doing certain things. And there's another specialty where another channel is better. For example, Lazada and Shopee as a marketplaces is more of a channel for people searching around, right? Searching around products, giving some recommendations. When Konvy is more of a content-driven, deal hunting, looking for what's going on in the markets, looking for trends. We are specializing on that on our Konvy app. But where TikTok is, the thesis was for entertainment. And people are spending time a lot on entertainment on a daily basis. People are spending average of 3 to 4 hours on TikTok, right? For people that plays on it. That's crazy, right? There's a huge hours. And usually shopping apps like us set per sessions, probably 20 minutes. They find and see the trends. It was there. They close it. Right? We're not going to give up on a platform that where customers spends a few hours a day and that's not related to us. I don't want to see this as blindly, okay, are they a competitor? I don't see it that way. I see that this is a new trend now. People are using TikTok to entertainment. And how can we leverage this platform for us as a retailers? So we start to explore a different type of possibilities. And now, throughout the 1 year of working with TikToks, we became their biggest beauty players on the platform. And we're working, synchronizing very closely on new strategy. Right? So people for TikToks, they also want to convert entertainment to shoppertainment, right? They want to convert entertainment to shopping, to people buying products. And they need players like us to work with that. Right? Especially with the algorithm TikTok provides, it's quite complicated for brands to really do it themselves, especially in the very beginning. It's tough. It's even more tougher than Lazada and Shopee because for Lazada and Shopee, where you build teams, the traffic starts to come in, people are searching the products, people buying the products, and the orders are quite sustainable. But in TikTok, it's more of picking up the trend, right? For example, a product that goes viral today, they can sell 10,000 units tomorrow. And a brand is not going to prepare people to pack that 10,000 units tomorrow. And 2 days later, the order becomes zero again. Right? So this kind of business model is not suitable for everyone, I would say. And it's not suitable for most of the business. I think this is one of the challenge where TikTok is facing right now in global markets. There's a lot of small vendors, but when a vendor starts to become big, they start to see logistic problem, they start to see service problems, they start to see quality assurance problem, and that's where Konvy can solve all these problems for TikTok, also for customers. Right? So let's say a product goes viral in TikTok, they are not sure that they can buy it from this video creator, but they know that this Konvy's TikTok shop is also selling these products. They will go buy in Konvy TikTok shop. So because Konvy provides quality products, quality service, and that's very important now for e-commerce world.
Yeah, I was curious to know because I think the problem that you brought up with the logistical side of things is pretty interesting. How does Konvy help address that pain point in particular, especially with regards to like virality and ensuring that the brands are able to keep up, right, with fluctuating demand?
Konvy invests so much into the back end and the infrastructure of this business because we learn the norm that this problem will not be able to solve anytime soon.
Hmm.
And with the demographic we have in Thailand, with a population of close to 70 million people, business now, let's say beauty brands in Thailand markets, most of their market size is around $1 million USD per year, which if you break down to 12 months on a monthly basis, is about 300,000 USD. On their market size for them, it's really hard to build a very complete e-commerce team, complete fulfillments, and complete logistic team. Because of that, we have 1,200 brands that we're serving. I would say more than 70% of the brand face these problems. And because of that, we are building, investing into warehousing, investing in our systems, investing our real-time smart forecasting systems, supply chain systems to solve these problems.
Yeah, so really building out the infrastructure for these brands to use. Because a lot of these platforms like TikTok, it can be hard if you're not at a certain scale.
Yes.
And yeah, moving on from TikTok Shop, I wanted to get into regional expansion as well. You did just raise a fresh round, and I think has been happy to support for this new round as Konvy goes regional, specifically to the Philippines. And I wanted to zoom in on that market in particular. You did mention about the Filipino tourists as an angle to increase confidence in expansion, but maybe you can walk us through that thought process again of why the Philippines or the other reasons that you found out across your research. And I guess for Konvy, what makes you guys, I guess, compared to other foreign players that would look into the Philippines, better positioned to actually break into this market?
Konvy on the day one started this business was never positioned ourselves as the Thai platform, right? Myself is coming from China. I finished my college in US. I lived in Taiwan for a bit of time. I went back to Beijing to do my first jobs. And now I come back to Thailand. For business wise, I always look at the market as the overall global markets. And we started our e-commerce beauty business in Thailand.
Mhm.
Throughout these last 10 years, I'm always looking in what are the possible opportunities around. We look into Myanmar, we look into Philippines, we look into Malaysia, I look into South America, North America, Arabian countries, Europe. I look at all sort of possibilities around. And how do we enter those markets? Are we entering those markets with our technology? Are we entering those markets with our platform? Was it with our brands? I always ask myself these kind of questions. Or are we entering the market with different business? And how do you come to Philippines? We have been working with all these neighboring countries for a few years. Where Philippines, we start working in Philippines with the partners we have there for almost 2 to 3 years. And what do we find out is that Philippines is the third largest beauty market in Southeast Asia, where Indonesia is number one, Thailand is number two, and Philippines number three, right? And probably Vietnam is number four, right? And if there is such a big market, and now we dig into it a little bit deeper, is it a good environment for business? Is there a lot of competitors? So we did a competitor landscape analysis as well. Competitor there is actually quite low comparing to Thailand and Indonesia. Right? Indonesia, we also looking into it, but the competitor landscape is very strong. Another third perspective would be looking into entry barriers. Philippines is a very high entry barrier for business, and that's why competition is not as high as in Thailand, where Thailand is very business-friendly environment. It takes very minimal for you to start a business here. Where Philippines, you're going to start a business. There's a lot of registrations, a lot of fees that you have to pay. It's hard to do taxations there. Legalization is also hard there. FDA is also hard there. It makes it very hard for beauty players to go in. But we ask ourselves, entry barrier is high. Opportunity is high. Can we defeat the entry barrier? How can we defeat the entry barrier? So that's why this time when we officially entering Philippines with the strategic investments, coming from Philippines, which is Robinsons, right? They're coming to our, being one of our helper and also investor to the countries.
Right.
We think that it's hard to just start entering it yourself. That's why we're looking for local partners. And together we're trying to capture this market opportunity.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how you guys are expanding into the Philippines. Are there any like risks that you're anticipating? And what have you guys set in place, or what are you looking to do to overcome or de-risk this market entry?
We don't look at Philippines or regional expansion just a story to tell. I think if we work in the VC world long enough, they always ask if there's a potential to grow, there's a regional story. For me, I don't really, just for the sake of completing this story, right? We really find that Philippines is a good country to go to, and it could be a second curve, right? Second S curve for us for the business. And it could potentially be bigger than Thailand, I would say. Right? And that's why we are putting a huge commitment to make this market work in 2024. We're building the whole team there, and we've been building the team for the last few months. Now we're on the process of registering the business. I think we'll be coming strong. We're coming strong with resources from Thailand. We're coming with resources from all around the world and capturing a different type of market there, online, offline, distributions. We're coming with to capture this beauty market as a whole.
And I think it's critical that you guys have already built a lot of these relationships. Again, you mentioned earlier, you've been working with a lot of these partners 2-3 years now in the Philippines. So there's already, it's not exactly starting from square one, right? And yeah, if you guys are interested in, for folks listening from the Philippines who are interested in exploring the space with Konvy, I'll leave a link to Quay's LinkedIn. You can reach out. A couple of open roles for across levels, I believe.
Yeah, we're looking a lot of talents. We're hiring a lot of talents in Philippines right now.
Yeah, I believe all the way from like a part-time intern to more senior.
Sure.
So definitely reach out. I wanted to get into our make or break corner. You have told your sort of almost your life story, I think, in our last conversation. And you alluded to a lot of significant points in your journey so far in this conversation. I wanted to zoom into what has been the most significant make or break moment for Konvy that you can share with our audience.
When I thought about this question as well, what are some of the biggest challenge or the hard decision making that I have to make during my past 12 years in Konvy? One of them that I would like to share is that during COVID time, Konvy grew very well, and we received a seed investments from some investors in Thailand. So we have some money to spend. And in that time, it was in a period where I feel Konvy should make a big bet on investing onto our branding, because Konvy has been in Thailand for almost 12 years now up to date, but by that time was almost close to 10 years. And a lot of people still see Konvy as the website, the
Right.
online business, where a lot of people are still scared to buy stuff online. So there's a decision I need to make was to invest the money we have on one big campaign. So there was a big decision. I almost thought about these questions for 1 month. I was
Right.
discussing with our board. Should we go with not too big campaigns, a little bit safer, or should we go all in? Right? And for me, there's one part of my own understanding that is missing that I always want to try was to make a big branding campaign and see how would that impact our business. Last 10 years, we've been very focusing on performance marketing. Everything should be measured. The results should be measured. What is the ROAS for these ads? Everything was by numbers. I'm a
Right.
very logical person. I'm a very data-driven person. But we never dare to put a big bet on something that is unmeasurable. All
Mm.
right. So in 2022, or was it 2021? We invest on 1 year campaigns, hiring top celebrities as a presenter to enter. And I would say that it pays off. It pays off. In terms of sales wise, we did have a spike of sales, even though it's not continuous spiking. But because of that, people viewing Konvy completely different in the mass markets. They already confident with Konvy, right? But what we're trying to do with this campaign was to kill the concerns for people that do not buy Konvy. And because we make that move, our commercials are on TVCs, our ads are everywhere in Thailand. You can see Konvy everywhere. Right? And that just conquers the people's mind that Konvy is a small business. And now they have jumped to become one of the biggest beauty business in Thailand.
If you're gonna really aim for being the top sort of beauty platform, might as well go all out, right?
Yeah.
And place all bets there. Yeah, I guess in hindsight, it's easy to say that if you guys hadn't done that, then nothing would have happened, right? But I'm pretty sure it was a very tough decision to make, and something that you guys weren't used to. And I think that's pretty characteristic of your whole journey, right? From performance marketing to doing this whole brand campaign, from thinking about e-commerce to multiple channels now, thinking about from Thailand to multiple countries as well. So it's always going out of your comfort zone, right? So to speak. So another instance of Konvy going out of its comfort zone has been raising money from investors as well, partnering with the likes of ourselves at Insignia, or with us over a year now. You can share a little bit about that relationship so far from your perspective. I'd love to hear about how you, especially as a founder who hasn't really partnered with VC previously, right? And how this kind of partnership has contributed to Konvy's growth as a company as well.
As you mentioned, Apollo, I usually do not like to work with VC that much in the past because they often interferes the decision makings that you have in mind. And from what I heard around before I take investments, there's a lot of not too good stories for founders with VC, and a lot of them has adjust their viewpoints in a way that different from the founders of where they initially coming from.
Mm.
And that's what I'm scared to get into because there's no path back. It's not like you now they become part of your family. You're gonna accept that they're part of your family now. It's hard to get divorced. There's no divorce, I would say. Right? So for us, when we were thinking about getting a VCs to come into our board, I was very selective. I talked to almost 100 VCs before taking Insignia's money. Uh, And what I like about Insignia is that I think there's a lot of what I like about Insignia. So I would like to pinpoint a few points. Number one, at least with Yong Chen and England that is taking care of my portfolios, they really know about our business. So when we're making a decisions, they understand where this decision is coming from. Where when we compare to some of the business that or some of the VC that talk to us, they have no idea how e-commerce is about, what is the metrics really about, and how do we want to make these decisions. So that is one of the very crucials. I want investors because they have a voting rights. They need to know what are they voting for, not coming from just they like it or they don't like it.
Right.
They have to know. They have to make a decision based on is this a good move for the business right now, right? Taking into account of the external environments, taking into account of down in 5 years, 10 years plans, if this move is going to help the business in the long run or not. Right, so this is number one. Number two, Insignia is a very popular VC fund in the regions, and they have very strong connections across the regions. Because of that, Insignia has introduced me multiple connections that I need. at the end, connection is not gonna be there for you to exploit. Connections are there because you already have some thoughts. For example, Konvy is going to LLM. We're thinking to go into AI, and sometimes we have question about cyber securities. We have those kind of questions, and we need those kind of connections to answer some of these questions. And Insignias provide that connection for us. Right. So whenever we need some things, they are there to support things that and connect with us with the right people to solve. And third, Polo. I think there's something that Insignia has very different with other people is the PR capabilities, getting our names out there. I barely see these kind of resources from other VCs, especially friends that received VC before. But with you guys, I get to join the podcast. I get to meet a lot of other founders. I get my names out as well. That help me a lot. A lot of VC knows us because coming from you guys.
I've enjoyed having you on the show and being able to tell your story. I think it's a great story to tell, even just from a marketing perspective. Yeah, and hopefully we continue to share more of this story moving forward. Thank you for joining us on this call. Make sure you get notified on when to dial in by following us wherever you're listening to us. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, toss in a like, and let us know if you'd like to hear more of this topic in the comments. See you all in our next call.